Hi, welcome to Copyrights and Copy Wrongs. My name is Jack Reznicki, and you'll know that because there's my copyright notice at the bottom of the page. It would be sort of silly for me to do a presentation on copyrights and not copyright the presentation. What I'm going to do is go over a history of copyright so you understand where copyright originated and why we have copyrights. I'm also going to go over the registration forms line by line, which I think is crucially important to copyright. I think it's very, very important that you register your copyrights with the Copyright Office in Washington. I'm also going to go over some copy wrongs. I think there's a lot of bad information out there, a lot of myths that are floating around, and hopefully we'll be able to illuminate those and have you understand what is correct and what is not correct with copyright. Let's go back in history first. Before there were copyright laws, today's copyright laws are actually a lot better, a lot easier than they were way back when there were no written laws on copyright. One of the reasons were that copying things wasn't such a big concern way back when. One of the first things I've heard of was the Shah Jahan, who had the Taj Mahal built. Now, he wanted to make sure that it wasn't copied, so what he did is he cut off one hand of each of the craftsmen who built it. Sort of extreme copyright protection, but you don't see a second Taj Mahal, do you now? There's also a violinist in Italy, Solomon Rossi, who in 1623 published a collection of religious music called the Songs of Solomon. Again, there were no written copyright laws, so he had to get a little creative in protecting his work. And what he did is he had a rabbinical curse put on anybody copying the work. I don't know if it worked or not, but I assume that if you bought it and copied it illegally, that your violin playing would just be horrendous for the rest of your life. I guess that's what he was hoping. Copyright isn't a birthright. A lot of people think that creative people have always had this right, that once you create something, the copyright is just there. Copyright is a series of laws, and they're constantly changing. There are also other views on copyright than our views, than creative people's views. There's people that are respectable people that have the complete opposite view of what copyright should be. I like to say that those people are sort of raining on our parade, and it's important to hear what they have to say and understand why they're saying it. Here's one quote. The primary objective of copyright is not to reward the labor of authors or photographers or artists, but to promote the progress of science and useful arts. And I'm highlighting this because it's a term that you'll hear over and over again, and I'll explain that. To this end, copyright assures authors the right to their original expression, but encourages others to build freely upon the ideas and information conveyed by a work. This result is neither unfair nor unfortunate. It is the means by which copyright advances the progress of science and art. There again is that term again. And this is a quote by former Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. Now, this was somebody who sat on our highest court and ruled on copyright cases at the highest level. This disappointing decision, and what he's referring to is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, this disappointing decision has moved our nation one step closer to a pay-per-use society that threatens to advance the narrow interests of copyright owners over the broader public interest of information consumers. And this was a Congressman Rick Butcher from Virginia. Toll Booths of the Mind. This is a quote by Jonathan Rowe in the Christian Science Monitor by an article of that name, Toll Booths of the Mind. The aim always was to enrich the public domain, the commons of the mind, not to line the pockets of a privileged class of monopolists of ideas. Copyright and patent monopolies have gone far beyond what he, Thomas Jefferson, and other founders intended. Now, copyright exists from the moment the work is created. If you're a photographer, it's from the moment your finger presses that shutter. If you're a painter, it's the moment your brush with paint hits that canvas. The moment you create a tangible work, you as the creator own the copyright. But the quote I want to tell you is this one: but it's worth a bucket of spit without registration.